Another week, another cyber attack. This one on JBS, that is the largest meat supplier in the world, with no sense yet of how big this is or how long the effects may last.
We have been warning you. The cyber attacks are going to increase. And here we have the latest. This is meat packing plants forced to shut down. Now, this is going to be more inflation. Less goods, in this case, less meats being produced. And people out there with a lot of money to go ahead and spend. And it's going to drive prices up even further and faster. Now, this is just the tip of the iceberg, in my opinion. Just wait until the entire banking system, they're going to say it was a cyber attack. Sorry, no one can get your money. We're talking Mad Max overnight when that happens. So why is there such a big uptick in cyber attacks? What's going on? Are the cyber experts that are protecting these entities, are they falling asleep on the job? What's happening? Well, you let me know what you think, but we do know that things are going to continue to likely get worse. And keep in mind, we live in a country where 99.9% of the people are dependent on food from the stores and food that's processed and manufactured in other places and shipped to their local grocery store. And that's very dangerous when you have supply disruptions and plants getting shut down like this meat plant. We're going to talk more about that. And this is why we've been saying you need to prepare, have your own source of food, have as many months of food as you can stocked up, because it's my guess, it's my estimate that things like this are going to continue to escalate. Now, this cyber attack was on JBS, the largest meat producer in the world, and they were forced to shut down all of their U.S. beef plants, wiping out output from facilities that supply almost 1/4 of American supplies. So it's actually worse than that. Remember that 1/4 number, but it's much worse than that. Here's what we want to get to. Take a look at the beef producers, and we see that roughly 75% of the beef produced is put out by about 4 different mega companies. All right, we have Cargill, Tyson, JBS, Leucadia. All right, so that's not good. We need more smaller meat processing to take up a bigger part of that market share, because if one or two of these go down, even just if one of those go down, that's going to be a big chunk, a big portion of the meat that's produced. And we know that farms are already having a difficult time. Remember all the videos we showed last summer with the restaurant supply chains being disrupted, and farms had to dump hundreds of thousands of gallons of milk in some cases, causing big financial hardships for these farms. And now if the plants have to shut down, that's going to be less meat that's purchased from the farms, less produce. And we know with all the demand for people out there filling their grill full of meat, and Americans love their meat and they love grilling out food, this could be big as far as more inflation pressures. Simply put, a lot of our lives are in the hands of a few mega corporations. Right, if the banking system goes down, if one or two of these meat processing plants go down, you could be talking about major food shortages and therefore surging prices. Right, so one, the shelves might be empty, and two, if the shelves are not empty, then the drop off in supply is going to create rising prices and may price a lot of people out of affording food. And the solution is probably going to be send out more stimulus checks, more food cards or vouchers, but not fixing the underlying issue that farms are having a hard time surviving because, drumroll, you guessed it, the rising cost of living. Farms are having a harder and harder time keeping up with the rising cost of living. So when disruptions happen, bad weather, droughts, meat plants getting closed down because of the great sickness, or in this case, cyber attacks, farmers are having a more difficult time handling these bumps in the road. Now let's take a look at this graph here. This goes back a couple days, but it shows you the increase in people searching for the term meat shortage. So people are concerned, and you can see to the far right here of the chart, just here recently, June 1st, today, the uptick in this search. So people are paying attention. And I think more and more people are realizing as these cyber attacks continue more people are realizing how vulnerable we are as consumers and how very few of us are actually self-reliant. Now let's go ahead and transition a little bit. This is about the drought here, and this is major. Now, many people don't realize this about California. People think California is just a bunch of homeless people with needles, maybe some surfers. Many people don't realize this. This is from beeftolive.com. Ranking of states that produce the most food. Number 1, California. Number 2, Iowa. Then Nebraska, Texas, Minnesota. So we are the number 1 producer. We're not just surfers and homeless people in this case. It's headed in that direction. It's headed to where the farmers might be forced out of business with the insane cost of living here and the insane, even more insane weather here in California. But let's talk about this drought and the further danger to the food supply. Farmers across California say they expect to receive little water from the state and federal agencies that regulate the state's reservoirs and canals, leading many to leave fields barren, plant more drought-tolerant crops, or seek new income sources altogether. One farmer said, quote, "We're taking a big risk in planting crops and hoping the water gets here in time," unquote. Right? What a shame. All the money that this country wastes. We should have water desalination plants all across the West Coast, but we don't. We don't. And we could, but the country chooses to spend our trillions of dollars of debt that we run up and spend that in ways that really do not address the major problems, and that's the food shortages, the water supply here in California, the country's number 1 producer of food. Nearly 40% of California's 24 plus million acres of farmland are irrigated, meaning they're not just going to be sustainable based on rainwater. And it mentions some of the bigger crops, including grapes and almonds, are under threat. Now, the farmer that you see here in this photo said the following. He grows melons, asparagus, sweet corn, almonds, cherries. He said that his operation could lose more than $500,000 in income and put many of his 700 workers out of work. He says that this drought has been exacerbated by California's lack of investment in water storage and infrastructure over the past 40 years. So another example of our leaders failing us, but also people all across the nation are responsible for not demanding more freedom to be able to farm, to grow our own food. Now, you may say, JJ, we do have the freedom, people just choose not to. Well, that's true in a way because a lot of people can grow food and they can't, but a lot of people are stacked into apartment buildings and smaller homes. A lot of people without any sort of yard, any place to grow food. But that's the direction that society basically has been steered into. But I'm not liking the looks of this. This feels really, really dangerous to me here. And so far, we've been right about pretty much everything. What do you think? Are we going to see rising food costs because of the drought, more cyber attacks, and the meat processing plants getting shut down? To me, it only looks like inflation, rising prices, and 300 plus millions of people here, million people in the United States, going to be looking for something to eat, and it doesn't look good. Could get pretty dangerous, people. Continue to prepare, keep stacking, stay well, stay safe. Until next time, bye for now, everybody. Peace.